Alright, grade 8s. Last night, you should have completed the Explore the Math, and hopefully by the end you finished the Explore the Math, you understood how to divide fractions and mixed numbers. So let's take a look at the exercise you did last night. So I'll just make that a bit bigger there. I'll just move that over there for now. And let's take a look at the questions you had to do. So obviously you really couldn't work with a partner. I asked you this for homework, but that's okay. First question asks, well, it says, when you divide 8 by 4, you're determining how many 4s or groups of 4 there are in 8. And of course there are 2 groups of 4. So with that sort of train of thought, I want you to show me how you can determine how many halves there are in 3 wholes. So here's how I would approach that. We'll see how you did last night when you tried this. If you want to find out how many halves there are in 3 wholes, well, you better draw 3 wholes. So I'm just going to use, I don't know, I'll use maybe rectangles. There's 1 hole, 2 holes, 3 holes. I want to know how many halves are there. Well, I don't have any halves right now, so I need to take those holes and create halves. And I can do that by simply cutting them in half. Excuse me. So then I ask myself the same question again. How many halves are in 3 holes? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you're going to do part B where it says complete the equation, 3, what is 3 divided by 1/2? Well, it's 6. Let's take a look at B. And let me just erase what I've done so far. Now B asks us to find out how many quarters are in 2 holes. So let's do the same thing again. How many quarters in 2 holes? Well, let's start off with drawing 2 holes. How many quarters are in there? Well, I don't have any quarters right now, but I can divide these holes up into quarters. 1, 2, 3, that's quarters now. 1, 2, 3, that's quarters. They're not perfect, but how many quarters are in there? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 quarters in 2 holes. So I'll go back to the original question here, and it says, so can you copy and complete the equation? What is 2 divided by a quarter? Well, when you're saying that, you're actually asking how many quarters are in those 2 holes, and we just counted them. We counted that there's 8 of them. So the answer to 2 divided by a quarter is going to be 8. Now the last one's a little bit different, but it's actually even easier. So let's shrink that over there, and let's get rid of those. See you later, quarters. You can go over there. So question number 3 asks us how many quarters are in 3 quarters. Well, believe it or not, the answer is actually right in the question. How many quarters are in 3 quarters? Well, let's draw 3 quarters. And there's quarters, and I'm going to shade in 3 of them. And I'm going to ask myself how many quarters are in there. Well, how many quarters in 3 quarters? And there's 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's take a look at this question number 4. This is a little bit more challenging. It says, show how you can determine how many sixths there are in 2/3. So in other words, you're going to be doing the question 2/3 divided by 1/6. So how many sixths are in 2/3? Now the problem with that, of course, is we're dealing with thirds and sixes. So we need to get a common denominator. But let's just start off with 2/3. So we're going to shade in 2/3. So I'll just shade that in. Pink. So there's 1/3. And there's 2/3. Now I can't find out how many sixths are in there because I'm in thirds. But what I could do, I could make it sixths. So I'm going to chunk it up. If I cut each of these in half, I now have 6 parts. Okay, and I actually have 4/6 now. So now the question really is, how many sixths are there in 4/6? So the new question now, the common denominator, is what is 4/6 divided by 1/6? So how many ones out of 6 are in here? Right here. Let's count them. There's 1 out of 6. There's 1 out of 6. That's 2, 3, 4. So our answer is how many 6 are in 4/6? There's actually 4 of them. If that went by a little bit too fast, go back and play the video over again. But essentially what I did is I can't ask myself how many 6s are in thirds, but I can ask myself how many 1/6 are in 4/6. So I just double that, and that's kind of what I did with the diagram. I started off shading in 2/3, but I couldn't find out how many 6s are in there, so I changed the 2/3 to 4/6. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 out of a total of 6. So how many 6s are in 4/6? There's 1 there, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's try 3/4 and divide by 3/8. And let's try this one a little bit different than last time. Instead of drawing 3/4, let's change our denominator first and then draw a diagram. So rather than have 3/4 divided by 3/8, let's make 3/4 6/8 so that the denominators are the same. So I'm simply just multiplying this 3 and this 4 by 2. And my new result would be, instead of 3/4, I would have 6/8 divided by 3/8. So it's a little messy there. Now division sign, really good one. Anyway, now I say, okay, what is this asking us? This is asking us how many 3/8 are in 6/8. So I'm going to draw 6/8. So I'll just draw a big long bar like that. And I'm going to put I need 8 spots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That should give me 8 spots in total. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But I'm only concerned with 6 of those 8. So I'm going to, in yellow, I'm going to trace these 6 out of 8. Okay, this is the only section I'm really concerned with right here. And the question is, I want to know how many 3s, how many groups of 3 out of 8 there are in there. So let's check it out. So there's 1 there. These first 3, that's one group of 3 out of 8. And I'll just symbol that by tracing in white. So there's 1. And then there's a 2. There are 2 groups of 3 out of the possible 8 that we have here. So our answer is, what is 6/8 divided by 3/8? The answer is 2. Right? So 1 here and 1 there. Alright, so question number 5, you basically had to use those models that I gave you earlier and fill in the chart. And if you've done that, you would have realized, well, let's go through these. How many quarters are in 3/4? You would have come up with 3. And how many thirds are in 2/3? You would have come up with 2. How many 2/9 are in 8/9? You would have come up with 4. How many 6ths are in 2/3? You would have come up with 4. How many 12ths are in 1/2? You would have come up with 6. And how many 3/8 are in 3/4? You would have come up with 2. Over here, this side over here is much the same. 3/4 divided by 4 is 3. How many thirds are in 2/3? Of course, there are 2. Again, how many 8/9 are in 2/9? Same one, 4. How many 6 are in 4/6? You've got 4. How many 12ths are in 6/12? You would say 6. And how many 3/8 are in 6/8? You would have said there are 2. So you kind of look at that. You'll notice that the answers over here are the same as the answers over here. Okay. Your next job was to analyze this data and come up with a rule for dividing fractions. In this case, fractions with common denominators. Notice these all have common denominators. These ones didn't, but they made them the same over here. Now, if you look at these answers and you look carefully, you'll notice something. What I was hoping you'd notice is if you take your numerators and divide them, that actually gives you the answer. So once you get the denominators the same, you actually ignore them and just take your numerators and divide them. 3 divided by 1 is 3. 2 divided by 1 is 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 divided by 1 is 4. 6 divided by 1 is 6. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. So what is the rule? Let's write it out here. So the rule for dividing fractions with common denominators, I'll write it out right here, is you simply make the denominators the same and divide the numerators. Okay, there's the rule right there. The rule for dividing fractions with common denominators. So you can make the denominators the same if they're not already the same. And once you do that, you simply divide the numerators. So again, let's point out, 3 divided by 1 is 3. 2 divided by 1, 2. 8 divided by 2, 4. 4 divided by 1, 4. 6 by 1, 6. And 6 divided by 3, 2. Alright, the last question that you may or may not have had discussion last night was to develop a rule for dividing fractions, in this case, using multiplication. Okay? So your job, of course, was again to fill in this side over here and then this side over here. So same as above, you were supposed to come up with how many quarters are in 3/4. And at this point, you can use a common denominator rule. Since the denominators are the same, you just divide your numerators. 3 divided by 1 is 3. In this case, 2 divided by 1 is 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now this one here, I can't do the common denominator method right now, but I can change it. If I recall, I believe this would make, you would make this one 4/6. Let me just make that a little bit thinner there. I'm going to make this 4/6, so the denominators are the same. So it's 4 divided by 1 is 4. In this case here, I'm going to make this one 12, so it's going to be 6/12. 6 divided by 1 is 6. And over here, I'm going to make this 6/8. So that becomes 6, that becomes an 8. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And as we learned in the previous section, we're just going to multiply these fractions over here. So 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 1 is 4. Simplify it, become 3. This one is 2 times 3 is 6. 3 over 3. And of course that's 2. Notice I'm getting the same answers as over here. 9 times 8 is 72. 9 times 2 is 18. 72 divided by 18 is 4, just like over here. 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 1 is 3. 4. Got 4 over here. Got 4 over here. Down here, 12 over 2. 6. 6. 3 times 8 is 24. Over 12. 2. 2. So you get the same answers on the multiplication side. So you're asked to observe what's going on here. Right? How is this multiplication related to this division? Well, it looks like nothing's changed for the first fraction. You got 3/4, 3/4, 2/3, 2/3, 8 over 9, 8 over 9. But what seems to have changed is if you look at 1 over 4, they've flipped it over, made it 4 over 1. They took 1/3 and flipped it over, made it 3 over 1. 2 over 9 has become 9 over 2. 1 over 6 has become 6 over 1. 1 over 12 has become 12 over 1. 3 over 8 is 8 over 3. So they flipped the second fraction and multiplied. We have a special name for these fractions. All these fractions are called the reciprocal of these fractions. In other words, you flip these upside down and multiply, and you get the exact same answer. So dividing by 1/4 is the same as multiplying by 4. Dividing by 1/3 is the same as multiplying by 3. Dividing by 2 over 9 is the same as multiplying by 9 over 2. Dividing by 1/6 is the same as multiplying by 6. Dividing by 12 is the same as multiplying by 12. And dividing by 3 over 8 is the same as multiplying by 8 over 3. They will give you the same result. So your job was to come up with a rule. What is a rule that we can come up with for dividing fractions? Well, the rule is you simply multiply the first fraction by the reciprocal of the second, which is what they did. We did 9 times 8, 72. 9 times 2, 18. Simplified to 4, just like we got here when we divided by 2 over 9. So the simple rule, again, is just simply taking your first fraction and multiplying it by the reciprocal of the second fraction. So in this case, 3 over 8 become 8 over 3. 3 times 8 is 24. 4 times 3 is 12. Simplified to 2, same answers we got over here. Write down this rule in your own words, as well as a common denominator rule in your own words in your notebook now. Press pause while you do that. So what I'd like to do now is turn to page 227, and I'd like you to complete questions 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. You need to use diagrams for number 5 and 6, the common denominator rule for number 7, and you can divide using multiplication for number 8, and number 9 you can choose whichever method works best for you. Now you'll notice you've got some mixed numbers in here. When you have mixed numbers, what you need to do is change that to an improper fraction. Probably would be the best bet. So in this case, you'd find out how many 5/6 are there in 7/3. Okay? Or you could draw 2 holes in 1/3. And remember, make sure the denominators are the same. Actually, let's just do that one right there. That one's a little bit tricky looking, so let's try that together as a class. 5D, 2 1/3 divided by 5 over 6. Let me do that with you. 2 1/3. So again, what I'd like you to do is, now we do the one we just did together. You can go back and look at it, watch the video again, and see if you can kind of figure out what I did. But we just did 5D together. We need to do the rest. Page 227. Together. 2 1/3 divided by 5/6. Now before I draw a diagram for this, I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to change this mixed number to an improper fraction, and then I get a common denominator. Okay? So let's see. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7/3. So my new question so far is 7/3 divided by 5/6. And now I need a common denominator. It would be very helpful if I can make the denominator common. So I can probably use, well, let's make 7/3, let's make it over 6, timesing it by 2. So my new question is going to be 14/6 divided by 5/6. So my question now is, how many 5/6 are in 14/6? Well, let's draw 14/6 first of all. So I'm going to draw a diagram. Now, I know I'm going to need 2 holes and then a part of a third hole. So I know if I take those holes, I'll draw, there's 1 hole, 2 holes, another one down here, and I know they have to be divided up into 6s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to count 14 6s. So I'm just going to put it in yellow. So here's 6 6s. Here's 12 6s. And then I got 2 more for 14 6s. So now what I want to know is how many 5 out of 6s are there in this diagram. So let's count. I'll use my lightsaber here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's one group of 5 out of 6. I'll circle it in red. Okay, there's one 5 out of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 6 right there. So I'm going to stop right at that edge there and circle that one. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's another one right there. That's another 5 out of the 6 that I'm looking for. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 5, 6 that I'm looking for. So it's 4/5. Now let me just repeat that again. I'm looking for another group of 5 out of 6. So I only have 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 5 that I'm looking for. So I have 1 hole, 2 holes, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 out of another group of 5 that I'm looking for. So our answer is 2 holes. Right? There's 1 hole there, and 1 hole there for the 2 holes. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of the group of 5 that I'm looking for. Okay?